when I look at my social circle, these are all people who are like transformational leaders. And I realized how important it was to have amazing people around me when I was navigating through the pandemic. Because when I wasn't in these social situations on a regular basis, and when I wasn't talking to my friends on a regular basis, I realized that voice of self-doubt got really loud. And I didn't really notice how bad it was until I was back in those social circles again and being around my friends where they were reflecting back to me how they saw me and how recognizing and acknowledging all of the work that I've done, that I went, oh yeah, how did I forget that about myself? Hello, darlings, and welcome to Not Over, Just Different. I'm Natalie Ledwell, and I'm here to share deeply insightful and vulnerable conversations with you from people who are willing to open up and share what their journey's been like so that you can learn and be inspired to take action in yours. It's never too late to begin again or to see a new perspective. No matter what your dreams or goals are, you'll find inspiration and community here. It's time to rediscover yourself, reignite your passions, and make the next 50 years even more full than the first. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the podcast for this week. This week, I want to talk about what could possibly be standing between you and the life that you want to live. Now, I asked this question of myself this past week because I have been working on a project for children and for schools around emotional intelligence and mental well-being and, life skills. And I've been working on this project for a number of years now. And it's been very frustrating in the fact that I feel like I'm working against a system, that I have this amazing program and this amazing dream that I believe is going to make a big difference. Yet, for some reason, it's not quite getting over the line. And so my question to myself was, well, what's standing between me and being able to make this project a success? So what's standing between me and the success that I want? And if you follow me on Mind Movies, you know that I know that we influence our reality. Through our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, we get to create the reality that we want. And so if I know that, and believe me, I'm a master manifester. I've manifested some amazingly crazy, awesome things in my life. So I'm like, why aren't I manifesting this? What is going on here? And so I had to really sit down in the inquiry of this question to figure out what that might be. So I did a little bit of research. I went through and went, okay, well, what are some of the things that stand in the way of people reaching their success? So I'm going to name a few of these things right now and then delve into deeper what I came up for myself. But maybe you can relate to some of these subjects. Maybe you can see yourself in this and it would give you enough motivation to kind of pull at that thread and see how you could release that, or how you could heal that, or how you could move past that. So things that came up in my research were things like perfectionism. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to me, but if you're a perfectionist, that can be a massive bottleneck between you and your success. And I know a lot of people who have perfectionism see it as like a badge of honor, but I'm like, yes, and it could stop you from actually getting over the line or a lot of different things and different projects in your life because, everything has to be perfect. Otherwise, you don't succeed. Things like overcommitment and difficulty saying no. I think that's a female trait that we have where, we want to say yes to everything. And if there's a lesson that I've learned in the past few years is just because I can doesn't mean I should. And so I've really narrowed my focus into just a couple of projects so that I can make sure that I'm giving everything to it. So if you find it difficult in saying no, setting up healthy boundaries is really important, because for you to be able to be successful in whatever endeavor it is that you have, and for you to be able to give, from like an energetic cup, you need to make sure that you are filling that cup and not overcommitting yourself and saying yes to too many things. Things like fear of failure. Now, I understand that when you're, especially at this time of life, and you're going to be stepping into a whole new career or a business or a vocation, something that, scares you a little or scares you a lot, because you may not be able to see all of the pieces falling together, then that could be, a major fear that maybe you will fail. So if something like that is coming up for you, I encourage you to look at what is the worst case scenario. Consider what the worst case scenario might be and go, well, could I still live with that? And also go, well, if I don't know how to do this, how can I find the resources or the mentors or the coaches or the people that will be able to get me over the line? So to have a look at those kind of things. Another thing is undervaluing our accomplishments. I think sometimes because what we're good at, we can sometimes assume that everybody's good at, so it's nothing special. But in my experience, I found that if there is something that you do excel at, that you do great at, that normally that can be a very individual thing, and we might not value it as something that's great, but many other people do. And so if that is a situation that you identify with, I recommend, looking for people around you that can give you some honest feedback on the things that you are really good at, so that if you are looking to step into something different and something new, that it gives you an idea of what that might be. So if you're good at, being relatable with people and communication with people, then, you would look at businesses or careers that fit that description. Or if you really want to help other people, what is it that fits that description? And then start to do a little research down on that path. Another one is reluctance to ask for help. Now, I do relate with this a little because sometimes I am really great. I'm very generous with my time, with my information, being able to help other people with my resources. But I find it difficult sometimes to ask for help myself. Now, I don't know why I still have this, because when I look at anything amazing that I have accomplished in my life, I never did it alone. I always had the help of others. And so if you find that you're finding it difficult to ask for help, then I encourage you to lean into that. Maybe start asking for small things, even if it's reciprocated with something that you're giving back. But get used to asking for help, because what's the worst case scenario? Someone says no. Okay, no problem. Then you go to the next person, or maybe they have a lead for you to go next. So make sure that you kind of lean into that. There's also limiting beliefs and a whole bunch of other things that came up. But then I came across what my particular situation is and what's standing between me and the success of this program and getting it out there. And it was like I came across it on this list and went, oh, ding, 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 we have a winner. It is self-doubt, that old chestnut. So I chose to talk about this today because I think it is something that many of us struggle with. Self-doubt, imposter syndrome, not thinking that we're good enough or that we have the ability to do something, which is definitely something that I have felt around this project because, my small voice will say things like, who do you think you are? You left school at a young age. You don't have kids. Why would anyone listen to you? I have all of those thoughts going around in my head. So I wanted to talk about this today because it doesn't matter who we are. I think many of us actually experience self-doubt when we're, going into something new, or even if it's around not just a new business or career, but around new relationships. It could be around old things. And if we haven't recognized or dealt with this negative self-talk that comes up around it, then it just continues to be a situation that we keep facing over and over again. Self-doubt comes up for me so much, even when it came to when I was sitting down and deciding what the topic of today's podcast will be. I even was sat there for a moment and thought, who cares about what my challenges are? Like, why would anyone care about my white woman challenges when, there is so much crazy stuff going on in the world? Why would anyone want to listen to what's going on with me? So the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because if this is something that you struggle with, like I do sometimes as well, I want to give you some things that you can do that are going to help you to navigate through this. Number one, I want you to catch yourself when you are having these moments of self-doubt. Now, this comes up surprisingly often for me. And since I've discovered that this is a challenge for me, I've become acutely aware of how many times this comes up and is sabotaging my ability to be able to, do my work, to share my message, and to help other people. Like I said today, just coming up with the topic for this podcast, I had this self-doubt about no one wants to listen to what's going on in my life. Why would anyone care? Even with the My Movies Method Coaching Academy, I often will find myself creating a presentation for our live trainings every month and go, oh my God, is this relevant? Are they going to care about this? Am I teaching it right? How are they going to receive this? And I go into a little spiral sometimes. And I only realized after when I'm going to really focus on this self-doubt, how this comes up for me, even in those situations. So when you look at, these particular things and you realize that the self-doubt is a challenge for you, here are some of my recommendations on what you can do to overcome this. Number one, you want to recognize and start writing down and recognizing when these thoughts come up for you, because we want to start canceling and challenging this self-talk. Now, if you're in any of my programs, you know that, my friend Lisa Thomas gave me this great little saying to say. It's like a little pattern interrupt that I say when I catch myself, because now I've become acutely aware and I'm really focusing on this. And so when I catch myself having these self-doubt thoughts, I just go, cancel, cancel, cancel. Only love exists here. Now, the reason I say this is, number one, it's a pattern interrupt. So I've now become aware of my negative self-talk around self-doubt. I stop myself. So saying this phrase stops that thought, which is traveling along a really strong neural pathway in our brain. And when I say only love exists here, the reason I say that is to stop myself from going, damn it, Nat, you didn't want to, you didn't want to go into these self-doubt thoughts and then, piling on and beating myself up mentally because I thought something that I wanted to release. When I say only love exists here, I'm like, be kind, be compassionate with yourself. Now, I've realized that I'm thinking something around self-doubt. And so now I want to switch into something that is going to be more empowering, a thought that is going to actually help me navigate through this moment. So things like, Nat, you have a great following, people are wanting to listen to something that's going to be relevant to them. And I think that this is something that they would be able to relate. Or it could be, you could look at your accomplishments that you've already accomplished. So when you look at all of the things that you've already, accomplished at this point, when I'm talking about the Mind Movies Method Coaching Academy, when I had those moments of going, are they going to receive this well? I don't know if this is something that they're going to like, or maybe they already know this, and going into those self-doubt, thoughts, I just look at the amount of people that are in the program. I look at all the testimonials that we've been gathering, all the transformation that people have been going through. Not just them, but even their clients, or the transformation they've been going through. I've heard some incredible stories lately, and I'm like, you know what? Nat, you've got this. You're on the right track. You're doing the right thing. You're getting great feedback. So make sure that not only are you focusing on your accomplishments, that you're looking at canceling your negative self-talk, but this is probably the number one thing that you can do to help with this self-doubt. And I think it is the most important step that you can take, is to make sure that you surround yourself with people that are going to uplift you, that are going to support you, and that are going to be able to give you great feedback. When I look at my social circle, these are all people who are like transformational leaders. And I realized how important it was to have amazing people around me when I was navigating through the pandemic. Because when I wasn't in these social situations on a regular basis, and when I wasn't talking to my friends on a regular basis, I realized that voice of self-doubt got really loud. And I didn't really notice how bad it was until I was back in those social circles again and being around my friends, where they were reflecting back to me how they saw me and how, were recognizing and acknowledging all of the work that I've done, that I went, oh yeah, how did I forget that about myself? So make sure that you have the right people around you. Look at the friends that you have that you can talk to, that you can confide in, that you can get support from. Be a part of a group that that are like-minded people. Like in the Mind Movies Method, everyone has an accountability partner, so that you've got someone that you can, like a sounding board, that you can really, sound your ideas off. And that will help you to see sometimes the things that you cannot see for yourself, and remind you of how amazing you are, and how capable you are, and how following your dream is the right thing for you, and how much you can do it. So these are the things that I really encourage you to do, to be able to step into a place where you can remind yourself, just how competent you are. It helps to raise your confidence levels. And it really helps you to see an amazing future for yourself, because I know that you can do it. And I think that you also know that you can do it as well, as sometimes we just need a little reminder. So thank you for joining me this week, everyone. Have a fantastic day. I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Not Over, Just Different. If you felt inspired by this episode, please subscribe and drop a comment below to let us know what you loved. My goal is to reignite the spark that you may think you've lost and cultivate a space where no matter what walk of life you are, you can step into the world with power and confidence. I would love to hear your reviews. It helps us to reach more incredible women like you. So until next time, keep growing, keep striving, and keep believing in the power of your potential. Here's to living your best life now.